What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bronco Fast car review. This one I'm super pumped about. If you don't know already, this is the Camaro ZL1 with the 1LE track package. Now, I don't know about you, but this thing just looks so mean. And one thing to note before we get started, it does have a set of forged aftermarket wheels on it, built by Signature, with the Michelin PS4s on it. This car does come with a track-ready 100 treadwear tire that is ready for the track with forged wheels from OEM factory. I wanted to point that out before we get going because you'll think to yourself, this doesn't look like an ordinary 1LE, but you'd be right because it does have the wheels on it for a better daily driven type of tire.
In there, and I probably just put it right in the middle of me talking. But with this car, remember what I told you? It comes with those ultra sticky supercar 3R tires that are just 100 treadwear. They're ready for the racetrack at all times. They are amazing. They do wear down fast, and they are about $1,800 for a set. So you will go through them if you daily drive this car, and hence why I put the Michelin PS4s on it, and I have the OEM tires for track days, and that's what I keep them for, is for track days. With the OEM tires, they need heat in them before you get grip, so do not try to floor it or get on it. I've made that mistake while they were cold. They do not like it, and they will spin, 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 and get you in a little bit of trouble. So just, you know, we're food to think about, because not everybody thinks about those things. Or you buy a car and you're like, man, I'm gonna have to buy, you know, $2 grand worth of tires just to you know, be able to drive it around in the rain every day and things like that. You don't have to. It's one of those things I do recommend, and wanted to share that with everybody. The tires are amazing, but they're a little hard for dailying because you get caught in the rain or it's cold out, and they do not like the cold. So back to the show.
If you haven't already, before we get started in this review, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, like it, share it with your friends, because we're gonna have a lot of fun and get a little in depth with the Camaro ZL1 1LE, because if you've been thinking about buying one, you hardly can get one right now because they're not making them. But I mean, why not look for one? So that being said, let's get into this review. Now, this car is very special. I believe they started in 2017, 2018. They started really amping up the production, and then 2019. Now, this car is ending in 2023. They don't make very many of them, so if you want to get one, get your hands on one now, because after 2023, when no one can get them, not even GM's making them, you're going to have a lot of trouble getting one, and the prices are going to go up considerably. So get your hands on one now. And as you can see, this is a sexy car. This is a very, 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 very sexy car, in my opinion. And GM did it right. They took their Camaro ZL1 that already had 650 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque, and said, we need to go to the racetrack. We've got our Z06, but this Camaro is such a good platform. And we did an awesome job with that 6th gen Camaro. So they got with their friends over at Pratt Miller and said, build us Aero, make this car go like stink, and we want to go to the racetrack and we want to set records. And that's what they did. So with that 1LE package, you're going to get the black roof or black hood. As you see here, it is a satin black. It's wrapped from factory. You've got the carbon fiber bonnet in the middle here. You're going to get these canards, this super aggressive front lip. It carries it down to these side skirts, and a carbon fiber rear spoiler. And that's not it. They also went to town on the suspension, and they contacted Multimatic, who is doing suspension for the Ford GT race team. That bug is going to get me. The Ford GT race team, and they've got F1 technology in these Multimatic suspension. So this got the special suspension on all 4 corners. I can tell you, I've been at the track on this, and it's magic. It can be a little stiff for the streets for some, but honestly, it's really not that big of a deal. But let's go start looking at this car and the features that you're going to want to see. So let's start with the front. Now we come to the front of this car, and that is where this car really shows the aggressiveness. We talked about that black hood. It comes down to these canards that are special for the 1LE package. and this aggressive front splitter. The funny thing is about these canards, which make this car so wide and give it such a stature, this car was not able to be sold in Europe because these stuck out too far. The canards actually stuck out too far and were illegal for European roadways. And GM doesn't care. That's the coolest part about it. They said, we want to go to the track and we want to have a track weapon that is going to beat up on the Porsche GT3. So we're adding as much aero as we want and as we can, which is a really, really cool feature. Now remember, the Z06, when it first came out, even the track package, that thing would overheat like crazy, because with the big LT4 supercharged 6.2 liter V8 under the hood, it creates a lot of heat at speed and at the track. So this car actually has 12 different radiators and coolers for the supercharger, for the engine, to keep it cool, to keep it going at all time. And what did GM do with the Camaro for this? If you can tell, this is completely open, all of this. And one of the coolest features that I think is kind of like an Easter egg, but not really, GM developed the flow tie. And what do I mean by the flow tie? Your hand goes right through it. They wanted as much air to get to the cooling of this car so it could go out there lap after lap after lap after lap and never overheat and just keep going, kicking GT3's butts. And I could tell you, it works. But I mean, come on. Now I added this tow hook here because at the track you do need it, but honestly I wanted to break up a little bit of the black and white, or of the monochrome colors here, and I think this just gives it an extra pop, and I do use it at the track, but I kind of like it. Some people don't. I do. Now at the side of this car, this is where I think the party's starting to begin here, right? We can see that the huge front lip, we can see the canards, and we go in here, we got these side skirts that just come together with the rear here, and then that's when we start seeing this carbon fiber spoiler that really makes a statement. Black mirrors, GM did that right. Everything on this car is black or the color you picked. And if you could see this, you got, with all this power, with 650 horsepower on tap, 650 pound-feet of torque, I know I keep saying it because it's a lot. You got to have massive, massive Brembo brakes. And the 1LE, as you can see, has them. They're 6-piston calipers with a huge rotor. I mean, it's a huge rotor. This is a 19-inch wheel, and you can see this rotor just fills up the entire wheel well. And GM followed it, boom, onto the rear here. You've got a 4-piston Brembo caliper. You've got huge rear brakes on this thing. I can tell you, this thing stops. And the pads from factory are brilliant. They are brilliant track street pads. They remind me of that Ferodo 2500 that was on the Shelby. And they're pretty goodly priced, so if you are hitting the track and attacking it hard, you know, a good set, having an extra set is not too hard. But I just love the way that this car flows, and it flows all the way. I mean, to be honest, I stare at it all the time. I love this thing. Like I said, as you could tell, I like this car a lot. GM knocked it out of the park, man. You know, they kept that black appearance package with the 1LE to keep going. You've got that carbon fiber spoiler that's huge up there. Even the lights they decided should be this clear black, and they light up red, turn signal, it works great. Into this black apron, the black bow tie, you know, and it just all matches. I mean, they did such a good job with the 6th gen Camaro. I mean, all 6th gen Camaros, I really think, look wonderful. I mean, they really do look great. This is finished off with a Corsa catback exhaust, so it is a little bit louder than factory. It's what this car needed, in my opinion. It was the very first thing I did when I bought it. I had it on order the minute the car was delivered, just because the stock one has 2 big chrome pipes. It's not my style. I think it just needed something, and plus they were kind of quiet on the OEM, so keep that in mind when you are watching this. This does have the Corsa Extreme Plus on it, so when I smile, it's because of this. So you're really gonna like it. I'm gonna start it up for you so you can hear this bad boy. But you know, like I said, all these 6 gens, the way they did it, the rear valance, you know, the ZL1, bam, right on there, so you know what it is. right, guys, let's talk about driver position. This is important. You've got these beautiful Recaro seats. Absolutely beautiful Recaro seats. As you can see, I'm 6 foot 180. I fit perfectly. Vision is good. You know, the windows are small. It takes a bit to get used to. Steering wheel is perfect. It's right here. Doesn't go over the cluster here, so I can see perfectly. I just feel comfortable in it. You got your shifter here. Nothing's at a long reach, and I really like this sitting position. I think it's really good. Everything you need is right here, and it's comfortable to get in, to get out. As you can see here, I'll demonstrate getting out of this. Not bad with race seats. So I wanted to show you the interior, that close-up POV type of interior. I mean, GM did a really good job. The screen is perfect. There's that lovely sound you get. And you just see it do its demonstration here. But yeah, I mean, look at that. You can go through all your selectable modes, get your average fuel. The great thing is there is a HUD display here. So all this information is right on your screen. And then of course, you know, my favorite side here, we go over here, bam, the performance mode. That's when we can do our 0 to 60. We can check our lap times, oil temp. I mean, all the stuff that you want to know while on track. I love this. Tire temp. It tells you when your tires are getting warm, when they're cold, all that good stuff. It's really, really ingenious for the track day guy in mind. Infotainment, normal GM. I mean, it's good, it's quality. It's all touchscreen here. The thing that's interesting with the AC vents on the 6th gen Camaro, this is how you turn. You want heat, you go this way. You want cool, you go this way. Kind of neat. No extra buttons for it. You got your manual, your 6-speed close ratio. I mean, look at those throws. That's what I love. Gentle. You don't have to cram it in gear. I mean, they did a great job on it. You've got your track modes you can select here. The one thing I do find weird, parking brakes like this, it's kind of strange. I don't know. But I don't know if you've been following GM for a while, but they have crushed the interior game. I think the interior is some of the nicest of a lot of the sports cars until you get into that high-end type of car. I mean, you've got room for a back seat, so insurance is cheaper, and the kids can come with you. But they did a really good job. And I think that's where Ford, with the Mustang and some of the other, I don't know, American brands, kind of lack in, is the interior is not great. It's cheap, it's plasticky, it's just not the best. I think GM's really standing it up against with their trucks, with their vehicles. Their interiors have been very good, and I'm really happy with this Camaro interior. So I know you want the fun part, right? Let's go drive this bad boy, and I can tell you a little bit how it drives, the fun stuff, the little weird stuff, and pure speed in this car. Okay, let's do this. Now, it's hot in Florida, so I do have the AC on. I'm gonna turn it off for just a second so you can get an idea of just how brilliant this car is. And we're gonna have a little fun while we drive, right? So parking brake, you have to step on the parking brake, press this thing down. It's kind of annoying, but here we go. As you see, it's really easy to drive, but woohoo! That is the auto blip downshift feature. So when you're at the track, you can just, I mean, literally just, and hear those cracks, bangs, pops. Woo! I tell you what, that doesn't get old. This car, that right there, does not get old. One more downshift. Oh baby, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Now, now that you got to hear the cracks, the bangs, the pops, the joy of just putting your foot on the floor, let's roll up the windows and give me a little AC, because to be honest, I'm dying up here. Out here, it is so darn hot.
So hopefully the AC is not too much. It's not bothering you all too much. So I can kind of turn it down here for you, which I'm turning those rotary knobs, which is always an interesting thing. Now this car is equipped, the ZL1 is equipped with the air-conditioned seats. So my butt, back, everything in that hot Florida sun that we just were in is actually feeling great. The weird part is sometimes it can feel wet. I know it sounds weird, but if you've ever sat in an air-conditioned seat, you're like, what is happening in here? But I like it. I like it. So steering wheel, awesome, nice, tight fit, handling. Ooh, you can feel that. I mean, it's on rails. The car doesn't sway very much. It's just a tiny, tiny little bit of swaying. But it is tight. It's precise. You really feel the steering feedback. And if you could see how easy this car is to shift. And that's what my next point is. This transmission is actually fantastic. It's easy to use. It likes to be beaten when needed. But, you know, it's one of those things that it just, a lot of cars these days, we're saving the manuals, right? They don't have a crisp feel to them. They feel numb. The cars that are feeling the best right now are that Shelby GT350, amazing shifter. The Porsche GT4, crisp, one of the best shifting cars ever made, right there along with the S2000. And to be honest, I think this transmission is fantastic because I can just do that, I can do this, and then we're good. We upshift, it's just as easy. But if we want to really grab it and rip it, you can do that too, and it takes it. I mean, it is just a buttery, smooth, fantastic transmission. It really, really, really is. Now, there is one gripe, that this is a GM thing, and I hate it. We are going along, it's first gear. Maybe I want to go through the neighborhood slowly and go to get second. Okay, it locks us out. It wants us to go from first to fourth gear and chug the engine, which I don't get. It has enough torque. Like I said, 650 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. It's enough to get it going. We're in fourth gear and we're just, you know, cruising along. So there is that. There is that. So that is a very, very, very good thing for the economy, for your gas mileage. But let's be honest, you're buying a 1LE, a ZL1 1LE, gas mileage is not something that you're that worried about. Saying this thing averages probably around 14 around the city. I'm getting like 20 on the interstate, so that's a great thing. It is my toy car and most people's toy car. It's very rarely used as a daily driver because of that, you know, suspension for people, back seat, but I could do this all day long. So the one thing with the 1LE we talked about, the Multimatic suspension, I want to show you, this is an extremely rough road in my opinion. I want to show you how it works, how it takes it, and what you think. It's hard to tell through this screen if it's going to be bumpy or not, or if it's rough and, oh yeah, he was cool. You're just going to have to see how it handles these undulations. So let's take a quick little ripper. And just listen to that beautiful V8. And we're just, here's some bump, okay? So I don't know if you can see it. We got some bumps here. And these are whoopties. These are big bumps. And to be honest, doesn't hurt me. My back's fine. My butt's fine. It is rough as far as not being in a Cadillac, but it's something you can live with. And if you can't, this is not the right car for YouTube daily, or this might not be the right car for you, especially if you don't go to the track. I do recommend the ZL1 if you don't use it for the track. You can make the looks happen, but you know, you get the Magna ride with a ZL1 instead of this Multimatic race suspension. And you know, here we get into these twisty bits. You can see, just flick the steering wheel just a little bit, and it goes. And that's when the traction management kind of comes into play here. You think to yourself, with all that power, all that torque coming out of the corners, that's going to be stressful, right? Oh boy, here we go. Foot to the floor, the traction management will actually handle it. And GM put in here different traction management for your different situations, whether you're wet, you're track 1, you're track 2, you want to be sport track, all those great features. And I can tell you at the track, I've tried to test it out, put the foot to the floor.
on one of those sport modes, and you know, I watch the car chug for a second until the wheel gets just a little straightened out, and then boom, off like a rocket ship, which is awesome. You know, with all the nannies off, I can tell you this car is a handful. I ran on track 2 on the traction management for 30 minutes, and I can tell you when I'm done, I felt like I was wrestling a bear down the track. A very light, nimble ballerina bear, because that's just how this car is. She's heavy, but dang it, does she handle good, and it's just so mean. I tell you, I just started laughing the whole time at the track. I just couldn't help it. First session, I had tears in my eyes a little bit because it was just that much fun. And, you know, we talk about these brakes, right? These brakes, oh my God, they stop. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic the way this car brakes and handles, and just makes me smile no matter what. Oh, I love this thing. Oh man, you know, it's kind of on a league of its own, and it's just a special car. It really is. The few gripes that I have is the trunk is teeny tiny. It's deep, it goes far back, but the opening's this big. So to get anything big in there, it's almost impossible. And the windows, it takes a while to get used to not being able to see out these windows. The rear window, it's like this big. The side windows, they're this high. You can't see out of them. You use your mirrors a lot. It'll test you as a driver to know where other vehicles are, which is important. That's something that I've always practiced and done for years. You know, I always got to know where everything is. Luckily, it does have blind spot monitors that you check religiously because of that. And that's just something you get used to doing in this car. So it's pretty cool. They did try to help you with that stuff. It has backup camera, everything, and you need it because the visuals out are very, very hard, but you get used to them. You truly get used to them. You start knowing how to look for things, and you kind of just forget about that type of stuff. So that is something to kind of remember when it comes to that. Back seats can be a little small. My son's 7, and he's kind of on the smaller side, and he fits, but there are times where his legs might be a little long for being back there. He loves it. He laughs and giggles all the time. I have a video of it, which is really funny, and he loves to go fast. And this car, boy, does it go fast. So, I mean, it's really, really cool. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, you could daily drive this car. You could drive it for fun. I mean, it really is it's a great threat of a car. And let's talk about price point, right? These are in the 70s. They are in the high 70s, depending on the options. They come with a 10-speed automatic transmission you can get for them, or it comes with the glorious 6-speed. Save the manuals. It's important you get this car in a manual. Yes, the automatic is super fast, and I think Car and Driver did it, and it was 0.2 faster than the manual, but they said it's not as fun, obviously, because it's doing all the shifting for you. And you know, in that price point, being in the high 70s, right? Special allocation, this is a special car. Let's talk about its competition. We talked about there's not really cars out there that are going to compete with this. A GTR is 120. That's 50 grand over. With a little bit of mods in this, the GTR is done. The Shelby GT350R. I don't say the GT350 because it's not in the same league as the R when it comes to comparing to this car. The R is a very special car as well. But honestly, this car, I've taken both to the track. This car's faster. It's more fun, in my opinion. It doesn't... The GT350R, I was able to get in it, go quick right away, and foot to the floor and not really be nervous. With this car, honestly, it took me a couple sessions to get used to it, but it was immediately way faster, and honestly had my heart pounding quicker and faster. It made me nervous. It's just, I kind of liked it. And with the cars that GM went after, right, is the Porsche GT3, Cayman GT4, those type of cars, which we're talking 200K, we're talking 150K for a GT4. Porsche makes an amazing car, but there's something cool about getting in a big V8 muscle car
and just breathing down the back of one of those cars that is more than twice the price. And with today's market, 3 times the price of this car. It is just, I can't say enough about this car. It just does everything you ask it to do. And it has its little quirks, which all cars do. We ignore those little quirks. We ignore those little things just because of what we're going to use this car for, the fun side, right? The pros outweigh the cons. And that's how it is with every car. With this car, there isn't very many, in my opinion. Small trunk, don't care. Viewing, it kind of sucks, but you get used to it and you don't think about it anymore. Those little things like that. Man, I can't even think what else to say. It's just such a fun car. I love driving it. And if you're interested in looking for one, remember, they are getting harder to find. Allocation for 2022s got moved to 2023. Some of the people with 2022s didn't even get a vehicle, which is kind of sad because a lot of dealers aren't playing fun right now. They're not customer first when it comes to these specialty cars right now. So find a dealership that's got allocation for 2023, a real allocation, and get one ordered now if you want new. You won't be disappointed. You know, it really, there's not another car that I can think of that will compare. And if you follow the channel, you know I go through cars a lot. I can't find or figure out another car that I would want more than this in that price range that does what this thing does. It's a really, there's no competition out there. And before we sign off, and thank you guys for watching, one of the cool factors about this car that is special to me, it's that bonus extra, right, that I think is cool. This car has me get stopped more than any other car that I've had. Kids roll down the windows and give me thumbs up. I even had a dad roll down his window for his 5-year-old and asked if I could rev it up so his son could hear it, and his son started giggling. And those are the special moments to me because that's how I grew up. I grew up around cars and hearing all the exhaust notes and hearing all the sounds that the car did, and it excited me, and it made me the super fan of automobiles that I am. And that's just a special thing that this car does. That's kind of that added feature that you don't look for when you're buying a car, but when you have it, there's just something special. So I hope you love the review. If you have any questions, please, I'd be happy to answer them. I've had this car for about a year now, and I really know a lot about how it drives, how it feels, the little quirks. I'd love to help answer them for you. Again, hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. There'll be more reviews coming, and I'll see you on the next one. Brock, go fast.